Bayfield is charming. It is really breathtaking how everything seems to fit into place there. Growing up in Bayfield was a privilege. When I was considering the purpose of this video, the final product, I wanted people to see how far Bayfield has come, but also how Bayfield is still a small village making a big impact. Recently, Bayfield has garnered some attention as a big-time Hollywood movie was being filmed on our main street. Our heritage main street is what led producers to pick Bayfield for their movie shoot. Clancricker Square, originally named Market Square, is the center of the village. Located at the mouth of Main Street, the open field was where locals and visitors enjoyed playing baseball, football, and cricket all through the 1800s. In 1882, the village planted trees all through the square to provide shade. These trees are still growing in the square today. Clancricker Square has always been a place of village gathering and celebration. The Agricultural Society hosted its first fall fairs here, and events are still hosted today. Some of the buildings that exist on Main Street today have been there for centuries now. The Albion Hotel was originally built in the 1840s. In the 1860s, the Albion was a stagecoach hotel, and in the 1890s, the hotel was purchased by the Elliots. In 1897, tragedy struck. The two Elliot sons, Harvey and Fred, closed the hotel for the night with their sisters and mother and began drinking. After a short while, the two brothers began to argue on the veranda when Fred withdrew a gun and shot his brother dead. Although this occurred over a century ago, the current owner and guests insist that the ghost of Harvey Elliot is still present in the building. Flickering lights, changing TV channels, and other spooky happenings are common. The Black Dog is now what used to be Edward's Cash Store, built in 1840, the first commercial building built in the village. The store was also the first in the village to have gas lights. Many of the original features of the store remain in the restaurant today. Barker Hall was built in 1855 as a general store and residence. The building has had many owners throughout the years. In the upstairs of Barker's Hall, an annual oyster supper was hosted. The event gave off so much light that a ship ran aground because the captain believed the light from Barker's Hall to be the lighthouse in Goderich, located 15 kilometers north of Bayfield. The Fowley House, now the village bookshop, was built in 1889 by James Fowley. He was a blacksmith who also constructed a small brick blacksmith shop in the yard of the Fowley House. The Little Inn, formerly the Commercial Hotel and Lakeview Hotel, was constructed in 1847. Originally was purposed for a store and a post office. It was burned down by fire and reconstructed and added onto in order to create a hotel. A carriage shop located next door to the hotel was connected by the construction of a dining room, all of which makes up the entire Little Inn today. The Bayfield Archives and Heritage Center was once the Irwin Brothers Furniture and Undertaking. The building, originally constructed in 1893, was located on the other side of the street. However, it was moved in 1977 when it was donated to the Bayfield Library Association so the library segment could be built onto the back. In front of the building, a large anchor is displayed, which was found several kilometers offshore. It dates back to the 1850s. The Gardner House was originally built in 1855 and served as a residence, store, and post office for over 60 years. The Gardner family owned the building for 122 years. It is now a store with apartments on the second floor. The Bayfield Town Hall was built in 1881. The building had to be moved in 1920 because it was built on a road allowance. However, the building remains almost untouched from how it was constructed. Inside the building, there is still a jail cell in the basement, which was originally constructed in 1921.
My name is Kelly Vader. I'm an environmental planner at BM Ross & Associates based in Goddard.
What is your role in the Blue Water Heritage Committee?
So I'm a member of the Heritage Advisory Committee, which is a committee of council, which is formed to provide advice to council on issues related to cultural heritage within the municipality.
And what is your role as an environmental planner?
As an environmental planner at BM Ross, which is an engineering firm, I do a number of things. I conduct class environmental assessments, which is looking at primarily municipal projects like sewage, water, road and bridge projects, and conducting environmental assessment to look at different impacts associated with implementing the project and how to conduct it in a way that will minimize those impacts. And then I also assist with planning approvals and environmental approvals that we need from agencies like Department of Fisheries and Oceans Canada, local conservation authorities, Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, Ministry of the Environment. And I also just serve as a general resource on environmental issues to the engineering staff to incorporate environmental components into the infrastructure projects that we do.
What are the primary goals of the Heritage Committee?
So the Heritage Committee was formed by Municipal Council. It's allowed under the Ontario Heritage Act. They're allowed to form heritage committees to assist council in making decisions around heritage properties, either properties, individual properties that are designated as being culturally significant, or heritage districts. And so when there is an application that comes to council to alter a property that's designated, either individually under the Ontario Heritage Act or as a heritage district, then the application initially goes to the Heritage Committee to review it, and they provide a recommendation that goes to council before a decision is made.
What exactly is the Heritage Committee trying to conserve about the heritage buildings on Bayfield's Main Street?
So the Main Street of Bayfield was designated as a Heritage Conservation District in 1982. And shortly after they designated it, there were plans to do upgrades along the Main Street. And the upgrades they were looking at were putting in better sidewalks, better lighting, improving the drainage and doing other aspects to generally improve it. And so those plans have been evolving over the years until recently they hired my firm to do an improved drainage plan and an improved streetscape. And so what we're looking at doing is installing updated drainage along one side of the corridor, which will improve. Right now, what happens after a heavy rainfall event, they get water ponding along the corridor, and it causes problems along the pathways and the parking areas. And then we're also going to install improved sidewalks and better lighting and other aspects just to generally improve the corridor. When a streetscape is designated as a Heritage Conservation District, any work that occurs within that streetscape could potentially affect the building. So because Main Street in Bayfield has been designated as a conservation district, any work that we do in the vicinity of the buildings could potentially affect the structures themselves. And so that's why the Heritage Committee is looking at how changes to the streetscape might affect the Heritage District. So as I said earlier, the Conservation District was formed in 1982, and shortly after that, I think in the late 80s and early 90s, there was a local landscape architect who developed a revitalization plan for Main Street, but it wasn't fully endorsed by municipal council. And then in the probably the mid 2000s, BM Ross was retained by the municipality to develop a stormwater management master plan for the community of Bayfield, just looking at general improvements to stormwater drainage within the community. And as a component of that study, we were asked to develop plans to improve drainage along Main Street. Historically, there's been problems with stormwater ponding in parking areas and in sidewalks along the Main Street corridor. And in the spring and the fall, that's led to problems with the sidewalks or the gravel pathways becoming muddy and impassable for people. And so we were hired to develop an improvement plan to improve the drainage. And as part of that overall plan, they asked that a streetscape plan be developed to also improve the overall appearance of the Main Street corridor as well. Well, I have kind of a dual role. So on my professional side for BM Ross, I'm acting as the planner on the revitalization plan. So I'm coordinating consultation with the public and with property owners and business owners along the Main Street corridor to get their input on the different plans that we're developing, conceptual plans of the proposed upgrades. And then as a member of the Heritage Committee, I am also reviewing how those same plans could potentially impact the Heritage District. So last night I actually was at a Heritage Committee meeting, but I was presenting to the Heritage Committee on behalf of the municipality for BM Ross. So I actually had to excuse myself from the Heritage Committee so I could present the project. And so there was a slight conflict of interest because I was professionally acting on behalf of BM Ross, but also sitting on the Heritage Committee.
What, in your experience as both an environmental planner and as a member of the Heritage Committee, do you think is the most important aspect we should be trying to conserve about Bayfield Main Street?
I think through this process, what I've heard from residents and from business owners and from the municipality, that the heritage streetscape in Bayfield is just a very unique area that's vital to the municipality because it attracts a lot of people to come to town. They come and visit, to shop, but they fall in love with the uniqueness of the setting. And so the concerns that people have with what we're planning to do is mainly how it could affect the Heritage District and change it. And so they're very concerned. I don't think they're as much concerned with the heritage attributes as they are with just the impact on the feel of the community and how it is right now along that district. But I think part of that is tied to the heritage of the buildings and the feel that gives, because it creates that unique quality to Bayfield that you can't find in a lot of other areas.